So I'm now highlighting the yellow a bit to help give the fuselage some depth. This is going to be a rather laborious business, but well, there we go. You know, I decide on these things because I do think this is going to really stand out if I can get it right. And at this stage, this could be such a good painting that it's worth giving it a lot of welly. And with this type of work, it's going to be, what's really going to make the difference is when it's overdone in oil paint. The oil paint will go on really nicely. There, it's getting a bit of a bit, because of course the nice thing about acrylic is you can add water and flow it through. So I'm feeling a bit more optimistic now. Yes, I'm feeling a bit more optimistic. Yeah, it's feeling a bit more optimistic, I think. It should have a bit more of a curve to it, I think. Yes, I think we'll begin to get away with it. Let's put in the phthalo blue. There we go. Yes, look. This is making me feel better. You see, I'm respecting the highlights that I did. There's that. Yes, I think we'll get away with this. Because you see, it's a round fuselage. But just to remind me, I'm just going to put in, that is the line that the fuselage is. We'll probably have to do something like that, which I did do sort of up there. That's it. Yeah, I'm beginning to feel a bit more optimistic now. This could actually end up being quite interesting. Oh yes, it's nice to see it through the camera. Yeah, I think we can get away with it. Let's do... But it's so frustrating. Look, that really works. So why won't this work so well? Let's see if we can do it like this. And do it like that. Ah. Oh, look at this. Suddenly it decides to behave itself. It's very strange. It's a nice brush. This is the Galeria one. Yeah. Maybe we're going to get there in the end. You see, that works on the fin. That's more sensitive. So let's do the other fin. And then with a bit of luck, by the end of this session, it will have a bit of point to it. Let's do this. There. I'm feeling more optimistic now. Yeah. But that is the beauty of being able to map it out with Liquitex. Because you see, look, in a minute, I want a soft upper edge. So all you do, it's so simple. You add water. There. Obviously, you'll have to dilute that down. Aye. Yes. I think we'll get away with it. As long as this being rounded, I don't think I need to take into account the rounded nature of the fuselage more. So I think it should be more like this. There's that. Now then, so annoying. You see, they look so good up there. Still not completely happy. I wonder if that should, no, I think let's just try something in here like this. Maybe that does it. Yeah. Make it a bit more busy. Still not completely. Well, we'll finish up here and then go back again. This we know works. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I think this will work in the end. Still not totally pleased compared with that up there. Not sure at all. supposed to be sort of like a fish, so in a way that should swell out. This is very annoying. So, yes, you see that sort of takes in the shape of it. Yeah. This is the nice thing about acrylic paint. If you don't like it, you can just paint it out. Yeah, it's giving me a better feeling. Bit of sienna. Shouldn't have done that, but never mind. Yeah, I think this will work in the end. Aye. This is the nice thing with acrylic. You just simply add water. And then you go back to square one, in a way. But at least now it's getting a shape. Yeah, look, you're getting a graduated tone. Good old acrylic, always bails you out. Yes, now that's a graduated tone that I like. Now, if I was disciplined, which I'm not, I would wait for that to dry. So let's go back to dear old fallow blue. And now you see I want to do what I did up there. Yeah. Let's see how we get on. I've got to start up here because obviously that's all wet. I think, look, now if we put in the highlight, maybe we're in business. Look, that's the highlight, which really, again with acrylic, we should wait, but I'm impatient. Now we're getting somewhere. Now, it's a bit crude, but I think we're in business. Yes. You see, the trouble is one flick and you've blown it. So that needs more white on it, but I mustn't be impatient. I should wait. And that means this can come up. With oil paint, it would be that getting your highlights right would be that much easier. It's a bit crude, but I'm just going to do it like that. Here's this one. But I'm getting a feeling for the rounded shape, so I'm happy. This is definitely getting a rounded shape now. There's nothing nicer than when something goes right. But so many times when I was doing book covers in the really commercial days, you're desperately trying to tidy it up. The art director said he wanted it on his desk at 4 o'clock that afternoon, and there's something really not right. And there was nothing worse than you're desperately trying to get it to work. You do get there by 4:30, and particularly my favourite art director would look at it and there'd be a pause, and from the length of pause you knew what I was thinking. Then he said, well, thank you very much, Chris. Not one of your best. And that was so damning. I used to be so depressed. But then on other occasions, I would get in there and the art director would say, look at it, maybe for a shorter period of time, and then just pat me on the back and say, you're a clever old sod, aren't you? And on one occasion, on exactly this, I used to work down at my Dorset studio. I'm looking at the clock, I'm praying that the M3 is not up to its usual tricks, would scream up the motorway. And on a couple of occasions, had slightly hairy situations on the road, got it on his desk. And on this particular occasion, he did that. He looked at it. The car is outside, practically with the engine running, in Cork Street, where it would be towed away within minutes. And he pat me on the shoulder and he said, you're a clever old sod, Chris. And I said on one occasion, Steve, I nearly ended up under a petrol tanker trying to get this job up to you today. If the police had phoned you and said, we're tidying up an accident, sir, and we found this painting in the car with your name on it, what should we do? And without a pause, he said, I'd simply say, if there's no paint on it, please send it in. No blood on it. There's no blood on it. Please send it in. And that's what life was like in those days. Look at this. Even talking about it makes me think I'm getting one of those jobs in now. Because look, do you see, by not paying attention, the colour is actually melding. Time and again, if you don't think about what you're doing, it works. There. Now I'm beginning to get my rounded shape. Oh, I'm getting into quite a good mood now. So we'll just get those two done. And then I got the luxury of getting the bottom, and I think it's paid off. I think this will make it a ship that really stands out, and you know it's in the foreground. So what I've done is, look, I've just bobbed in the middle ground colour, because it is going to dry quite quickly, but I can get up there. This is probably a bit too light, but you see the beauty of going over it with oil paint is you can correct all the things like this. But also, by lightening up the colour, you emphasise the shape a bit. I think this is really going to work. That's probably a bit too dark. So do it under there, do it under there, do it under there, do it under here, bring it down here. Then all you've got to do is to get that top bit right. And I've deliberately left rather a lot more yellow up there to emphasise, and probably we will just dust it with the airbrush at the very end. deliberately letting it scrape through, because in a minute I'll go over it again. Now that is beginning to give the rounded shape, which gets me quite excited. And maybe we'll even have the edge on this. You see, look, that needs so much work on it. But now we can begin to fill this guy in. This brush has really come into its own once you start using them. So this is my lovely Galeria brush, which is bailing us out. When I work on the films, it's so lovely. You send out for materials. So if I had my brushes in this state, I would send out for new brushes. There. Now we are beginning to get somewhere. I'm even beginning to feel for that. You know, that's me up in there. Yeah. I don't know how or why, but the machines I paint take on a character of their own. And somehow that is just beginning to sit up and beg. You know, that is the wheelhouse. You can see it. It's beginning to look like it's coming out of there. You know, I love watching ships come out of a harbour, and they sort of sit up, you know, they're getting ready for the open sea, particularly here in Guernsey. And they sort of sit up, you know, they have a slightly expectant look about them. Particularly little small ones, sort of pleasure boats. They have this little sort of perky, like a small dog. They're sort of, because of their design, of course, partly, they have little V hulls, and they have to, you know, they've usually got an oversized outboard engine on the back, so they stick up in rather a funny way. There, look, even this blue is behaving itself. Look. It's going on really quite well. And you see, once I get this right, and it's on the way, we can do a really nice, posh coat of oil paint. There. There. Now it's beginning to be fun. You see, look, I can give it another whack of the fallow. I'm really getting that I've got to have a go at, but I'll do the middle bit first.